What is up, everybody? My name's Trey. Welcome back to Better Day Sports. And in today's episode, we'll be breaking down the James Harden for Darius Garland trade because I think this is a very interesting trade for both sides and for very different reasons. Now, for the Cleveland Cavaliers, this is exactly the move that I think we were all kind of anticipating them making. Donovan Mitchell is in his prime. He only has a couple more years of him being under contract for the team before he becomes a free agent. And without the Cavs actively making some type of push to put another star alongside him that is actually available, I think his future looked pretty bleak with the Cavs specifically. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, Garland was an all-star last year. Yes. But he has continuously been unavailable for this team. Don't get me wrong. When he plays, he looks very good. He's an all-star level player. He gets buckets. He gets his team involved. But as an undersized point guard who is a score-first guard at that, not only that, he also has lower body issues, which for a small guard does not bode well for the longevity of his career. This is exactly the trade that I need the Cavs to make to really put them as, spoiler alert, my team. Well, okay, no. I'm a 76ers fan. So not my team because I'm not a Cavs fan. I'm a 76ers fan. But as the team that I would probably bet on to come out the East because of the two moves that they made. So if you haven't seen my last video, go check it out. It's the DeAndre Hunter trade for Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. Was a great move for them to get some depth on their roster when it comes to scoring. And now they went big game hunting to put another star and an available star next to Donovan Mitchell. Yes, I know. It's James Harden. It's playoff Harden. It's strip club, lemon pepper wings Harden. It's in the offseason, I look like I can gain 50 pounds and look completely out of shape before the season, James Harden. I get that. But James Harden is playing really well. And during the regular season, he can definitely put some of that, offensive load he can take away from Donovan Mitchell. So he's not having to do everything all year, plus everything offensively when it comes to the playoffs. So this is a move. Sure. Is Harden going to be on your team for the next 5 years? No. Does he have maybe the longevity that you would expect Garland to have just because he's so much older than Garland? Probably not. But if you're telling me when Garland has not really played at all this season, Harden makes sense because this is just how I think of it. A injured Garland or shouldn't even say healthy. A playing Harden. Give me a playing Harden. A player that's actually going to be available, even when he's available in the playoffs. He plays poorly at times. I'll take the person who's at least available because I really feel like with Mitchell, if Harden can just kind of give you a couple good games, we already know his playoff history. He's going to give you a couple games where he absolutely disappears. But as long as he can be out there, defenses have to respect him. Not only that, but as a playmaker, Harden doesn't necessarily have to shoot 30 times a game with Mitchell on the team. Not only that, but he has Mobley, he has Allen, he has Schroeder coming off the bench. They just got Ellis, who's a nice point guard, two guard defender. They have a lot of very good pieces and pieces that actually fit well together. And I know you're probably not going to enjoy this. But I think at this stage of their career, James Harden might even be a better defensive player than Garland. It's like, what? James Harden doesn't play defense? No, but he's a bigger guard. He has longer arms. He's taller. Give me the guy who's a couple inches taller and who's available over the guy that has what seems like one of the worst toe injuries, foot injuries, leg injuries that we have seen in a while because he just simply does not play. I'm taking James Harden. Now, on the flip side, what if, and this, just a little conspiracy theory to throw out there, what if the Clippers knew that they couldn't win the finals, make a deep playoff run with Harden, because of how he flames out in the playoffs. Now, Garland, when he's healthy and he is available, definitely does not have the same flame out history that Harden has had. And Garland and the Clippers both say that he is now healthy and he's going to play the rest of the season. With Kawhi Leonard playing as good as he is, and knowing that Harden's going to give you a couple just absolutely horrendous games in the playoffs, maybe the Clippers were looking at this long term. Said, hey, we can get off of Harden. He's not happy here. And Lord knows an unhappy Harden who already requested a trade is the last thing you want to deal with, not only in the locker room, on the floor, in the headlines. Like, when Harden's upset, the rest of the facility, the rest of the organization can feel that type of tension, that type of pressure that we just have to get away from this contract. So I really feel like it's a great move for both sides. The Clippers got a younger guard who fits a longer timeline, who also, if he's healthy, can win now. And with Zubac also being moved, you really don't have a center who requires touches in the paint. And your offense is really going to be put through Garland and Kawhi Leonard, which could be a really exciting thing to watch. Because, I mean, you can argue right now that Kawhi's playing an MVP caliber level. I know it definitely did not start like that at the beginning of the season, but these last couple weeks, going into All-Star game and afterwards, Kawhi Leonard is playing probably the best basketball we have seen him play in years. He actually looks healthy. He looks athletic. He's dunking the ball. He's taking people one-on-one. He's hitting game winners. Kawhi, this is what the Clippers, and I'm not even a Clippers fan, but this is what all Clippers fans have said with Paul George, with the rest of his roster, said if we can get a healthy Kawhi in the playoffs, I like our chances. Just like Toronto, when they made that major move for Kawhi, and Kawhi said, I will not re-sign here, but if I'm healthy, I can win you a championship. So I really, really love this. Now you got to understand, very different mindsets, I think, in this trades. So Cleveland solves an immediate problem, which is Garland is injured, doesn't play a lot, and there's too much burden on Mitchell. So getting Harden helps out a lot, spreads around not only the workload of the offense, but also I think they got arguably a better defender in Harden compared to Garland. On the Clipper side, they got younger. They're not dealing with a disgruntled Harden, which, like I said, Lord knows. And you would argue that Harden was going to flame out in the playoffs anyway. So getting a younger star on a better contract who has a longer timeline, who hasn't flamed out in the playoffs or has not had the type of history that Harden has had when it comes to flaming out in the playoffs, is exactly kind of the direction they're wanting to go. Even if this is not the year that they necessarily win anything, go deep in the playoffs, and maybe even eventually they have to move off of Kawhi. Well, you still have Garland, young star. He's been an all-star. He knows how to initiate the offense. You can run your offense through him, even though he is like an undersized guard. Clippers, they might have something cooking, and I very rarely say that about the Clippers. But I would say overall, this is a trade that both teams are really saying, hey, we both won this trade. I'm giving both teams, both the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Los Angeles Clippers, an A for this trade for very different reasons. But I both think they won this trade, and I don't think both front offices looking at each other says, hey, that player solves our needs better than the player that we currently have on our roster. And without having to give up, multiple first rounds or second round picks or multiple players attached to your star, it's basically a 1-for-1 swap. And 1 second round pick is exactly the trade that both these teams needed to kind of get that motivation or start rolling going into the playoffs, like I said, for very different reasons. But leave your comments in the comment section down below how you feel about this trade. Who do you think won the trade? Because like I said, A's on both sides. I feel like this is a great trade for both teams, and I'm really excited to see them both going forward. Hopefully Garland can stay healthy, and hopefully this is the year that Harden does not put up some absolutely devastating numbers in the playoffs, especially if you plan on betting on him, because he has definitely screwed up some of my parlays, but only when he's in the playoffs. But just like that, I will see you in the next video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe button and notification bells. Get notified every time I post a video. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.